Hello, and welcome to the KidsMin Collective podcast. I'm your host, Lauren, and today we're going to be talking about practical KidsMin summer event support. So, what are some ways that we can just maximize the effort that minimize the effort that we're putting in for our maximizing the impact that we're making with our kids ministry events this summer. So I know it feels late in the game. I'm recording this and it's in May already. So as you're listening to this, you may be thinking, oh gosh, it's too late. I'm not going to be able to impact the kids in my families just because of time and how little time I feel like I have. I get it. Summer is busy. It is intense. I feel like we roll out of Mother's Day and Easter, and then we hop right into summer programming. Volunteers change, graduations happen, all sorts of things change with the summer months. And so if you're listening to this and you're feeling behind or unprepared, take a deep breath. It's okay. You're not alone, and we're going to give you some practical suggestions and things that you can do to help maximize the impact that you're making, all while minimizing the input that you're putting into these events. So it's really not too late to create meaningful ministry moments this summer. And really the thing that's important to remember is that it's the impact you're making more than the perfection. So you might have a vision in your head of what you're wanting and how you want an event to look or to go, but remember that's what you think and what your intention is behind the event. Not that those intentions aren't good. Do not please hear me out. Like, you have great ideas and great intentions with that, but sometimes we become our own worst critics when we think, oh, that didn't go the way I had planned for it to go or exactly how I wanted it. You're the only one who might know that. So just remember, it's the impact over the perfection. So some quick wins that you can utilize as you're preparing for some of your summer programming. This can be VBS, this could be some kind of a camp, this could be just some random like one-off events that you're trying to connect with families, any of those things. Repurpose past materials. That can be decorations, that could be curriculum, that could be activities, crafts, depending on kind of what your goal is for the event and what you're planning to do. Repurpose those things to save time. I know I've mentioned this before. You can utilize, most curriculums come with a ton of activities, and you cannot do all of them on a Sunday morning during your typical hour programming. Use those activities, pull some of the ones either that were favorites from the kids in your ministry or that were, you didn't use and you wanted to try, pull those out and utilize those as opportunities to do either at the events for the kids to do with families, whatever that looks like. The other thing that's going to be helpful is choosing one core theme and building everything around that. I think if you can stick to a theme and you can keep that in mind as you're processing through how and what you want to do for your event. Again, remember, is this a one-off couple hour event that you're pulling families together at a public park? Are you creating a 3-day camp or vacation Bible school? Those are going to depend. But if you can pull together that stuff around one core theme, you're going to be able to research differently. You're going to be able to kind of build on some opportunities and activities along those lines. Go for simplified structures. So that's going to tie into that core theme. That's going to be themed days, a specific structure or theme for one individual event, whether that's, okay, we're doing all things water. This is a water night, a movie night, kind of just decide what that looks like and stick to the theme or that structure. And then you're going to want to set a clear start and stop date for summer programming, whether that's, again, you're going to do a start time of 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. You're going to want to do it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of this week, we're doing a camp. Just set those clear expectations, and part of that is probably more so for the one-off events, I would say, that start and stop date is going to be helpful to you. Start and stop time will be helpful to you because it allows you to say, okay, I know that I need to have stuff prepped at this time, which everybody needs to know when to show up, right? But if you have these kind of open-ended events, maybe you're doing some kind of like a family water night at a park and you're inviting a bunch of your families there, It's going to be drop in. People are going to show up and come and go kind of as they're able to. And if you set a specific stop time at 8 p.m., people are going to know that it's shutting down. And that gives you a little bit more structure, and creates a little bit of a boundary for you so that you can stick to those things, and you know that it's going to be a 2 hour event with, an hour of setup and half an hour of cleanup. So then you kind of know what to expect as you're going into that. So that is going to be helpful. People don't always think of that as a quick win, but really that's going to be useful for you as you're processing and planning, especially if you're doing more than one thing over the summer. Some creative, but pretty easy decoration ideas. Use the dollar store. I love the dollar store for this stuff. Amazon is obviously great. You could order stuff from there, but typically a little bit more pricey. If you're going to hand a bunch of things out, you can also utilize, if you have enough time, you have to do this within early enough in the planning portion of this. You can also use Oriental Trading to do some I need 100 lays or whatever that looks like, pool noodles, those kinds of things. But dollar store is really great because you can get a lot of those things. Typically, there's more than one dollar store in certain locations. So if you go to one and you clear them all out of their pool noodles, you can go to another one and get some additional stuff. So that's a pretty quick and easy way to grab some decorations, and they're great. Dollar store especially is great about doing some themes. I was at Dollar Store the other day and they had a whole Hawaiian tropical theme set of stuff on an entire aisle. So they had banners with leaves and tablecloths that matched that, and leis and cups that looked like that. So there's lots of fun things in them. That you can utilize as you're looking at some of their stuff. Maybe you go to the store and you say, what does Dollar Store have right now? And then can I build my theme around that? And so the other thing you can do that is often overlooked is actually invite your families to come and be part of setup or decoration. So maybe you do this the Saturday or the Sunday prior to your event, and you're inviting families to what you could call a kickoff event. This could be a jump in, help us. First of all, you're getting families there, you're helping them serve, you're helping kids be part of the process. So they're going to be super pumped and excited when they show up for camp the next week. So allow them to be part of that process. Obviously, at that point, you're going to need to be prepared to have all those supplies, but that's a fun way to bring in families and to get extra help and support in the decoration side of things. Use what you have. This is also something overlooked. I know I tend to be this way. I'm like, ooh, I have this great idea. I want to go out and buy a bunch of stuff. Instead of saying, oh, look, I have a bunch of different things. How can I pull these together? And create a theme around those things that I have. So you can repurpose VBS decor that you had from before. If you do some kind of curriculum that has certain themes and you've made content, or you've, printed or utilized decorations or banners or things like that, use those things. And just repurpose those, especially if you're on a tight schedule and you're like, shoot, I'm trying to pull together some last minute event ideas. That's a great way to do it. It saves a lot of time. It saves a lot of effort. And to be honest, parents aren't going to care if you've reused some decor, and kids will be like, I remember doing this. And so that's a great way to just reuse the things you have. Some volunteer roles that you can help to make things simple as you're processing through volunteer roles and what you would like them to do. Break the asks for them into bite-sized things. So instead of saying, can you come be part of this event for 5 days? Ask them, can you be part of the setup team specifically? Could you be part of the snack team for the 3 days of camp or the 4 days of camp? Can you be part of the cleanup team? Can you be a one-time storyteller or a game leader? Or could you lead an activity, this specific activity, the same way 3 different times, one on Monday, one on Tuesday, one on Wednesday, and tell them exactly what you're asking of them. Don't just say, can you just show up and be here for part of, this whole week of 5 days, from setup to cleanup. That's going to feel overwhelming. And if people are already serving or volunteering in another capacity, maybe with kids ministry on Sunday, that's going to be a lot to be like, oh shoot, now I have this whole other set of things that I need to do. And what does that look like? So be specific and make those bite-sized asks. If you don't have some kind of a sign up platform, you could do this a couple of ways. If you have the time ahead of time, you can print out like a physical sheet. If you wanted to do some kind of sign up table in the lobby at church on a Sunday, if you can make some kind of an announcement from the front, that allows you to get some hand signups on Sunday. And if people have questions, they can ask, okay, what are you asking me to do when you want me to be on the snack team? Am I supposed to provide the snack? Am I supposed to just set it up? Am I cleaning it up? Like, what am I doing? So they can ask more specific questions in person. But you also can, for example, my church does an event that they do every summer where they do a camp. So I volunteered for that last year. Well, this year I got a link for a sign up genius. So I knew exactly what that was going to look like. And so there wasn't a question for me. So if there's some repeating events that you do over the summers, you could send out a sign up genius if you don't have some way to do a sign up, like maybe through your database or how you're tracking volunteer leaders or people. So if not, you can create a sign up genius. It's free, pretty easy, pretty quick to put together. If you can't figure out some of that stuff, you can just Google it or look it up on YouTube, and they'll pull up some ways and show you how to set up those sign up forms. So another thing that is really helpful is to recruit youth and or parents who aren't regular volunteers. This helps get other people involved. And also maybe there's a set of parents that's like, I just can't commit to volunteering every Sunday or every other Sunday in kids ministry, but I could do 3 days of teaching this fun event or doing a Bible story 3 days in a row with the 6-year-olds. So people are more likely to try that out and do a smaller commitment, even though it's a camp. And so also remember, people's schedules look different in the summer. So that can change what they're able to commit to and what they're not. So ask youth and ask parents who maybe aren't involved. The other thing about this is, if you are clear about what you've communicated and you show them a taste of what it's like to serve in your ministry, maybe you would get some people who say, you know what, I really enjoyed camp. I really like this a lot, and I would like to volunteer on Sundays. So there's also that. Don't go into it with making that your primary reason for asking those people, but that could be the cherry on top of people showing up to say, you know what, I do want to serve in this capacity. So that's a great way to do it. And then just kind of processing through, what do you want to do, and just thinking through what the actual reason for this event is. There's going to be 3 P's that I would suggest that you use to polish an existing plan. So what is the purpose? Is your summer program pointing kids to Jesus? Is it keeping them busy? Is there some kind of childcare aspect to that? Maybe you do some kind of programming over the summer that is specific to say, parents, drop your kids off, we keep them while you're at work. So what is the actual purpose of that? So that's P number 1. The second P would be people. Are you building relationships? Are you including new families and volunteers? And then the third is pace. Is your calendar manageable, or are you doing too much? So just think through those things as you're pulling together the plan for what you're trying to do and accomplish over the summer. So that's a really great thing to keep in mind just as you're processing through and considering, like, really, what am I trying to do? Is this outreach? Is this serving the family specifically in my church? How do I build relationships? And then I think the pace part of that's where we tend to get caught up. I want to do this perfectly. I want to have all of these things. I've seen 7 billion options on Pinterest and, YouTube, and this is what I want to create. I have 3 days to do it, and they probably spent 6 months preparing that content and the decorations and the themes and the huge pirate ship to go in the lobby. And so just remember, your pace matters, and you have to choose to do things that aren't going to burn you out. And so reuse the things, pull together stuff you've already had. Don't feel like you have to go all out and do all the things. Kids are going to just love being together and being part of that, and allowing families to jump in and serve the kids, but also to be part of that programming as well and jump in and enjoy those things. So remember that your pace is important and that you can't do it all. We've kind of touched on this in several other parts of this podcast, but include your families, not just the kids. So obviously you, as a KidsMin leader, you probably program most of your or choose to do most of your programming specific to reaching the kids. Obviously that's a huge part of what we do in kids ministry. We want to love them. We want to teach them the gospel. We want to share the gospel with them. We want to teach them, spiritual disciplines, and that is amazing. But also let's think about this perspective and this lens of including families. Part of our role is also to equip our parents and families to disciple their children. So share ways that they can be involved, whether that's, hey, families, jump in and come be part of the setup crew or the cleanup crew. Allow them to do those things and join you, and not just the kids. But also you can share some take-home things, just like you would on a Sunday, to say, here you go, this is what we're talking about at camp today. Can you guys have, these conversations at home? Here's some discussion questions. So just think through some kind of strategies on that about how you want to include families. But also, as you're choosing to do some programming over the summer, do family events. Then you don't always have to bring in volunteers to manage that. You can say, we're going to just do a family picnic or a game night, or we're going to set up, they have all those blow up movie projector screens. Jump in and do that. Just show a movie. Say, hey, we're going to provide popcorn, or we're going to have bags of chips, and then just show up. So that's a great way to do it. Another thing that you can do with families, and programming can be geared towards serving. So teaching kids to serve, teaching families to serve. I think this is something we don't do a lot of in our culture today, just in Western culture in America. So how do we get families to serve? Serving together, that's a great way for, little Johnny to see mom and dad also doing service and inviting him to be part of that. So maybe there's a family serve day. Maybe that could be as easy as, we need to clean up trash all across the campus, or we need to plant flowers, or we need to paint, or we just need to scrub the sidewalk. Like, any of those things can be things that you invite families into. And so think through some options, and maybe that's a whole church-wide ask of, okay, youth ministry, what do you need done? Do you just need the carpet scrubbed? So how can we invite families into that specific space to serve together? And then just keep evaluation in mind as you're pulling together this programming. I know as you're thinking through some last minute details, trying to pull it all together, figure out how to make it work, do it in the last minute. Just keep at least a mental tally, but then also, if you can, once your event is done, keep a log of what things worked, what things didn't work, what was easy, what was not easy. Maybe this is a space where you start to record someplace. These are all the things that kids have loved. They love this specific activity with a beach ball. And then those are the things that you can repurpose later to do something else with. And so just keeping that log for yourself, at least if you can't do it as you're doing the planning and or as you're doing the event, then stop afterwards, take a breath, pause, and reflect on what are the things that worked, what are the things that didn't. Another thing that you can do is do a quick check-in, either with the volunteers that served for that event, or with parents, and say, hey, what are the things you liked? What did you not like? Obviously, you can get answers all across the board here, but suggestions on what worked well, what didn't work well. If you could do something slightly differently, how would you do this? Again, I mentioned my church does a camp, and at the end of camp, we got as a volunteer, a feedback survey to say, hey, what are some suggestions you have? And so I had sent a couple of things, and I got feedback from the children's ministry director, and she was like, this is so great. This is super helpful. Thank you. So just be thinking through those questions that you can be asking. If you're not open to sending that out to all your volunteers or all of your parents, maybe pick a few key people. You have those key volunteers, key parents that are highly involved and that have the heart and the passion for the ministry like you do, and can answer that from an honest place. So just be thinking through that and how you can engage those people as you're wrapping up an event, and then kind of debriefing that so that you can be prepared for future events to know what's helpful, what's not, what is useful, what are the activities you liked, what are things you wish you would have done differently, that kind of thing. So, and also just as you're preparing, consider as well that you should be saving at least digital copies of all the content that you are producing. If you are making signage, if you are printing check-in, table signs, anything like that, save those things, because if you can just create a one folder on your computer that has all those things in it, then you can repurpose those things next year instead of saying, oh yeah, what did I do? How did I do this? I need to recreate this thing. Then you can just go in, either duplicate it or just hit file print again and reuse those things. So keep that in mind too as you're planning. So just a last minute kind of closing encouragement for you. You are planting seeds. And you don't have to put on a show. Like you are just trying to impact these children, these families, to love them, to equip them. And that's what you are called to do in your KidsMin role. And so just remember that you don't have to put on some mega event. It doesn't have to be Pinterest worthy. It doesn't have to be something that you would, post all over social media and every person's always going to want to replicate or duplicate it. It doesn't have to be that. What really matters is how you're impacting these kids and how you're touching their hearts and just sharing the love of Jesus with them and equipping these families to disciple their children. So that's the goal in mind. And so the kids are not going to remember a perfect plan. The parents aren't going to remember a perfect plan, but they will remember how they felt and the resources that they walked away with from these events. So just keep those things in mind. Those are the high impact pieces, the high touch points that you want to have. And don't forget, you don't have to do this alone. You have key volunteers, you have key families. Invite them to be part of this. Invite them to be part of the process. Allow them the opportunity to serve and do these things. And so just to come alongside you, they want to love you, they want to serve you, and they want to serve other families in their church. And you can cast that vision to allow them to be part of it, and also to help you as you're processing through how and what to do, and then trying to do 9 million tasks to prepare for an event for the summer. So all the things that would keep you from doing programming in the summer, just remember it doesn't have to be perfect. And so you get to jump in, you get to love your families, and you get to serve them. And so how do you do that in a way that makes sense for you in your current context at your current church, with the schedule that you have and the flexibility you have? So I encourage you to go out, find ways that are simple and easy for you to just love your families, and please drop in the comments any questions you have, any ideas you might have, anything that you want to know. I'm happy to help and just be a resource in this space. So have a great day and happy summer programming.